I am from Moines WaterWorks. I want to kind of give you like a little history and the WaterWorks and how we were formed and some of that kind of thing, and then get into some of the water quality kinds of issues. Switch to the next slide. Moines WaterWorks basically has three primary sources of water. We have 3 treatment plants, and we provide drinking water to about 500,000 people. Our total pumpage is about 17 million gallons per year. Even though we're Des Moines WaterWorks, we really serve a region, about 35 communities and 68 counties around Des Moines proper. Des Moines WaterWorks is actually owned by the citizens of Des Moines, but we do provide water outside the city. And how this works is the citizens own the water utility. The mayor actually appoints our board of trustees, but our board of trustees, which is 5 members, actually do all of the policy making, rate structuring, and everything for the utility. So our only connection really with the city, which a lot of people don't know, is that our board is appointed by the city. Otherwise, we are not considered a department within the city. Our infiltration gallery was the first source of water at the WaterWorks Park. The map is actually showing you the Raccoon River, and what this infiltration gallery is, it was built in 1918. It's about 3 miles long. These tile up at the corner, they're about a 48-inch diameter, and they're buried about 35 foot deep along the Raccoon River. So it's a system that is under the influence of the river, but it basically uses bankside and soil filtration to clean the water in that gallery. And initially that provided all of the water for the city of Des Moines. Then about 1947, the city had grown to where capacity was needed to add, and so we actually put an intake directly on the Raccoon River, and that's right outside the treatment plant door. So this is makes it very easy and access. In about 1980, we had run into some drought conditions in a few years previous where the water was below our intake. So the board decided that we needed a second source of water, and we moved to the Des Moines River. The Des Moines River intake is over behind Broadlawns Hospital. So the intake at the Raccoon River is our preference because it's right outside our door, where the one at the Des Moines River, we have to transport 5 miles across town to get it to the treatment plant. So it increases the cost of energy using pumps and motors to get it to the treatment plant. For our treatment, we use coagulation, sedimentation, basically getting the dirt and silt and some chemicals out. Lime softening, we have sand filtration, we have chlorine and fluoride. We have nitrate removal, which I'll get into a little bit later. Some facilities have it, some don't. We have a new plant that's just below Saylorville Dam that just went online this last year, and that's a membrane filtration, and that's a brand new system and state-of-the-art technology. Then this is actually the nitrate removal facility. When it was built, it was the world's largest facility. It's an ion exchange, which basically is each of those big cylinders is about 3/4 full of little tiny plastic beads. And basically water is sent through each of the facilities. The nitrates attach themselves to the little beads, and then every so many hours it has to be flushed out. So we use a salt brine type solution to flush it out, and that removes the nitrates from the beads. And then there is a discharge to the river, and that discharge has to be permitted through the Department of Natural Resources. So we have an NPDES permit to be able to discharge. But the discharge is also an extremely controversial piece of our facility that I don't think was ever anticipated when it was first built. By calling it a nitrate removal facility, it does not remove nitrates from the environment. It only removes it from your drinking water. And so I'll get into that a little bit later too. Okay. To kind of give you an idea of what our watershed looks like, we're basically in the Des Moines and the Raccoon River watershed. So the area, the map up above shows the different watersheds, and And then you'll notice that land use in that watershed, the gray area is all row crop agriculture. So the WaterWorks gets some complaints that we are anti-agriculture. And when you're living in a state like Iowa, you cannot be anti-agriculture. I mean, that's the way we were all brought up. It's our being, it has a part in all of our lives. The problem that we have is that with the Des Moines and the Raccoon situated the way they are, more than 80% of our watershed is agricultural row crop production. And because of that, if we're to make any kinds of changes in water quality in the Des Moines area, we're going to have to go up to where that 80% is at, or we're not going to make any difference. And so we are totally not anti-agriculture, but agriculture is where we can make the best inroads. Next slide. Thanks. This is just to show you this is nitrates in finished water, and that's the other misconception, is that we do remove nitrates from drinking water, but we only remove them to the point that EPA tells us that we have to for the standard. So it has to be below 10 milligrams per liter to be safe, considered safe drinking water. So we don't remove it completely, but we do remove most of it. So as you can see, whoops. Probably about the mid-60s to early 70s is when nitrates really started showing up in our drinking water. And the reason for that is that we started using nitrogen as a fertilizer. Changes in practice and drainage. Iowa is one of the most hydrologically changed landscapes in the country. And the increased use of river water, because most of your larger cities, metropolitan areas, have trouble getting enough water from well water, so they use surface water, which provides them a lot bigger source in quantity. This is showing the concentration, and basically what we want to show here is that even though a lot of things haven't changed as far as the amount of fertilizer that we use, the combination of fertilizer and manures and things, the trend for nitrates is still continuing to trend upward. And the same way with the loadings in the river. Those are still, both rivers are trending upward. And you might notice a little difference between the Raccoon and the Des Moines. There's not a lot of difference in land use for either one of those, but the Des Moines River has Saylorville above our intake. And so Saylorville sort of is a collection pond for a lot of things. So the new nitrates will dissipate a little bit before they come through the dam at Saylorville. So everything has been a little bit lower from the Des Moines River than it has from the Raccoon. And this shows the maximum river nitrate levels. It's about a little over 18 milligrams per liter is the highest that we've had. And you can see the red line across there is the EPA standard of 10 milligrams per liter. So we get above it quite often. E. coli is another issue. We have a lot of livestock up in the watershed, and we measure E. coli as an indicator bacteria. It's one of the least expensive to test for, and when we find it, then we know that we may want to look for other bacteria in the water. But this shows that the level for safe contact of 235 colonies is the red line, and many times our average E. coli is way above that. Some of you that might have been around when New Orleans had the hurricane there, and they were recommending that people stay out of the water because bacteria levels were too high. We in Iowa had to chuckle a little bit because most of the high levels they were seeing is what we see every day. So it was unique to them, but it was not a unique situation for us. This is the number of days in a year that we see the E. coli above the 235 colonies. Again, it's quite a few, and especially if you think about a 3-month period of time is most of the time when people are going to be in the water. We're up there quite a bit during the summer. Another, we've had a couple of events in the past of ammonia, and this is where we kind of get into some of the public policy issues, in that we had this ammonia episode in 2008, And basically what happened is the ground froze, a lot of fertilizer was put on the ground, then we had snow and ice on right around the wells for that facility. And these are also streamside wells, so they have river water, but they're influenced a great deal by the river. Well water that are influenced by the river. Since 2004, we have lost about 65 foot of stream bank, and it's coming back to the area where it's threatening some of the wells now. Some of you may have read recently in the Des Moines Register, FEMA had approved doing some repairs out there, and then they decided to deobligate the funds, and so we're still trying to work through that. But we're really not just fixing the stream bank because we want it to look nice. It's actually a part of our infrastructure.